Listen, I just want to thank you for coming here as well today. I suppose the first point I would like to say is I want to say to all the current RT workers, all those people who aren't on big contracts or massive salaries, who are doing the work day in and day out, who are probably very upset and have been since all these scandals broke. And then for all the issues that come up with funding, and they're saying, will they have a job? What is their future like within RT? And for me personally, and I suppose I represent a lot of people in the board, we want to say to them that we appreciate the work they do, and we will do everything to make sure that their future and RT's future is successful and sustainable. So I just wanted to lead out with that. I have a couple of questions there. First of all, Mr. Backhurst, you raised the issue about, or it was raised about Rory Coveney got an exit package when he resigned. Now, I'm not sure what the procedures would be, but normally when a person would resign their role, they would go out with whatever they were entitled to that point, and that would be it. Like, is it the procedure to give people packages when they resign? Was it that a once-off, or was there other packages similar?
It depends. In general terms, well, I can't talk in general terms actually. It depends on the individual circumstances of the person going. Now, obviously, you know, we'd rather not pay out public money, but sometimes you need to reach an agreement for people to leave, and sometimes that's directly with them or through a mediation process. So the answer is, it varies.
Listen, I get that, but the question here, if a person resigns, they don't get a package. In the private sector, I was in the private sector for 30 years before I came here 4 years ago. If you left, you left.
Sometimes there's an agreed resignation.
So it was an agreed resignation, and not like an agreed resignation. It's like you're parting in amicable terms.
Yeah.
Or a resignation is where a person falls on their swords and goes out.
Yeah, I've resigned from organisations because I'm going to other jobs. I did it just a year ago, another job.
But would you get a package then when you leave?
No, not if I'm doing it for that reason. But if it, you know, if it's finally balanced and it's best for the organisation that person leaves and they resign, then sometimes you have to find an agreement to do that, and that's the reality at senior levels.
Just the next question. No, thank you. How much was paid out? What was the value of all the resignations that have happened because of the current scandals?
I can't give you the amounts because they're subject to confidentiality agreements. I'm sorry. But I'll give you the one I can give you.
Without going through individual cases, like at the end of the day, this is public money. Like, are we talking? We're talking about 450,000 with one. Are we talking 1 million? Are we talking 2 million?
It will be in the accounts when we publish them. I can't give the figure now. It's because it's a process of elimination. You start working out. It's not. There are very tricky legal constraints around some of the exits.
Okay, I just
sorry. Just to say, it's not. I said this before, I think, in one of the committees, but it is hard when you're exiting people at a senior level. When you come in like me and you want to make changes to your leadership team and you want to exit individuals for various reasons, and you're given legal advice that you can't necessarily fire individuals, I'm afraid there is a price. But for me, I needed to refresh the leadership team, so it was a price I had to pay.
We go back to the price that you're talking about, and you made a statement earlier, there was no laws broken. Last year, 13,000 people were brought to court for non-payment of their TV licence. Those people either faced €1,000 fines, they all would have got a ruling against them, and some of them even had a possibility of doing some limited, maybe a few hours or whatever, going to jail. We have people here who got hundreds of thousands of euros, the same people who squandered millions of euros. Like, if you were to total up, those 13,000 licence fees that weren't paid comes to just below 2.1 million. And at the same time, there was people who were left with massive packages who squandered 2.2 or 2.3 million on the late toy show musical. So you had people who had wasted millions that couldn't be accounted for, that wasn't signed off, decisions that were made completely, and just listen to some of the accounts here today, with no accountability, no transparency, and no responsibility. And at the same time then, people who are struggling to pay their bills are being dragged through the courts. Like, and you made the point, there's no laws broken. Who said there was no laws broken? Like, had you gone to the Gardaí? No, I know you might have said you got legal advice. But we have the Guard, we have people going to court at one stage. Like, we have to have accountability. And I know you're trying to manage this situation now since you came in. I respect that. And actually, I respect everyone for coming here today, because other people haven't come here today and haven't come to other meetings. No, some for health reasons, and I respect that, right? But you've come here today, and I respect that. But the people I represent, like, they're struggling to pay their bills, and then they're faced with just 160 euros or go to court. There was a person contacted me last Friday who said the television licence guy man called to his house and said, I'll be back in 3 weeks, make sure you have your licence then. And these people went out the door with hundreds of thousands, right? Like, I ask you, like, to the ordinary person out there who's watching today or who will read about this, like, what do we say to them?
I think all I can say is that, Deputy, look, look, obviously it is the law currently to pay your TV licence. I would say to those people, I hate seeing people prosecuted for not paying their licence. I would rather give them the absolute reason to pay their licence, which is, you know, to demonstrate this is a really well-run organisation, that we're providing really valued content to them. You know, that we have, you know, 1,800 fantastic people who work in the organisation day in, day out, who are delivering to those audiences. I would much rather demonstrate it. I would much rather there was a funding system which is, you know, ideally progressive and fair and enables us to deliver for audiences. I'm not attempting to justify, and nor was I there when Breda O'Keefe got her payoff. And as I say, I think the anger at that is shared by almost everyone I know in RT, in fact everyone I know in RT, at every level, senior to the most junior level, and I would agree with them. It's not appropriate, it was not appropriate then, it wouldn't happen now. And my job is to try and clean up the organisation and make sure this is run in a more transparent, more accountable way and delivers for audiences and doesn't get into that situation again. And
just on that, I suppose I'm going back to the future of RT and the future of public service broadcasting. Sinn Féin, we brought a P&B yesterday, which we will vote on tonight, right? What we want to see is sustainable public sector broadcasting for RT, TG Carbo right across the board. What we want to do is encourage, whether it's Virgin Media, whether it's local radio stations or Dublin stations or community stations, we want to see, I suppose, good public content, honest and trustworthy programmes to be developed. But what we see now at the moment is the current situation is broken. The Taoiseach has said it, the Minister has said it, it's outdated, it's not suitable for 2024. We have a report from the Future of Media Commission which states that one of the recommendations that from 2024 we should have looked at a direct funding from the Exchequer. Like, that's what we would like to see. And you made a point earlier, Mr. Backhurst, about trying to operate from year to year. Our proposal would see monthly annual funding for 4 years. That it would be set then by Commissioner Mann, an independent triple lock system where they would meet with all the people involved, they would gauge it, they would recommend funding, that funding would be passed for 4 years, and then if a minister decided to change that minister would have to come before the Dáil and explain. Now, there are exceptional circumstances, like the financial crisis of the Troika, where that might be necessary, but outside of that, it would guarantee independence of the media, it would guarantee your funding, and it would allow you to plan for the future. Because I think, like, just looking at the figures here now, I think in the last 5 years, and you might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, over 200,000 people less paid their licence fee now than there was in 2018. Would that be correct?
I'm not sure about the exact figure, but it's certainly significantly down because there's evasion and there's also non-TV households. Yeah.
So, and I suppose with the society now, with social media, people on computers, devices, their phones, like the TV in every house is a thing in the past. But what we want to see is a sustainable funding model for public service broadcasting. That's something that you said earlier you would like to see so that you can do your work. My worry now this year, if we keep going with the model we have, fewer people will pay the TV licence, and you might have to come back to government again looking for money. Like, at the current state of funding, is that something that could happen sometime in 2024?
Yes, you mentioned the Future of Media Commission, and one of the things they said in their report was until the funding is resolved, that RTE would need extra funding year in, year out, which we had last year, which we're very grateful for, before you even get to the fall in TV licence sales. So it is an ongoing situation. And I said earlier on, and I would say it again, I very much welcome the discussion that is now current and the intent there seems to be on all sides to resolve this now, once and for all, because public service broadcasting, in my view, has huge value to society. You look at countries that don't have it and you wouldn't want to live there. So to find a sustainable way that preserves the independence of RTE and that is fairer, in my view, would be most welcome. And I welcome the debate, and I hope it's resolved soon, because we don't like the uncertainty, and doesn't help the independent sector either, where we're trying to plan programming for years ahead.
You've
got over, but one last final thing, Deputy Gould.
Are you organising meetings in the next coming weeks to talk with the Minister for Finance or the Minister to discuss funding for 2024? Like, are you going to have to get to a cliff edge again now before funding comes out? Or is there a plan now? Like, obviously, I assume that you've done your budgets for 2024.
We have.
You know what income is coming in. Like, is there a gap there? And if there is a gap, when will the Minister or the Taoiseach or the Minister for Finance know about that? Do they know now?
Very briefly.
Yeah, very briefly. Yes, we will have engagement with the department, and potentially, I think with New Era and DEPA about the funding gap. As you know, they pledged 40 million, and we need to see how much of that RTE will need. We don't want to take any more taxpayers' money than is necessary, and if TV licence sales continue to improve as they have done, we may not need that full amount.
Okay, thank you.